Podcast, a platform created to entertain, educate, and evolve the modern-day deer hunter.
For recording, if you need to do that or not.
No, I used to mess around with some recording on a program and stuff, but now I just plug my phone right in and it records it straight to my laptop, so I actually answered through my computer. We are fired up and good, man.
Oh, good. You're not in jail. That's good.
No,
That's
did you get the video I sent you?
I did.
Yeah, I found it a little bit just ironic.
Yeah.
No, man, it's crazy. So I was just sitting down to call you, and I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to get a beer. And I walked out to my fridge in my garage, and I cracked open a beer and was in deep thought, and I just heard screeching tires coming around the corner 100 miles an hour, and then a big boom, and I got a big ditch out in front of my house.
Uh-huh.
And there's a intersecting dirt road and a paved road, and these guys are always hot rodding it right around the corner, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and he went off into the cabbage bud right into the ditch. Yep. So the cops are dealing with him right now. And
he went to grab another gear, and that guy gets you something.
Yeah, I know. He let out of it.
It's like I want to do it. I don't know if it's a good idea, but yeah, sometimes that happens. So.
Yep.
Nobody's hurt though.
No, nobody was.
Well, good.
Nobody was hurt.
I mean, here's the deal. It wouldn't be right if there wasn't some sort of law enforcement involved with obviously it's not involved with our podcast, but it did disrupt our podcast a bit, So
it absolutely did. I had to go out there, make a statement, the whole thing, and I just thought.
Oh, you had to? Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was the one that called because my other neighbors said, "Hey, they're drunk. You need to call." And it doesn't look like.
Oh, they were?
It doesn't look like by what's been going on out there that they are.
Oh, sure.
They were just hot rodding. I didn't see anybody go away in handcuffs, so.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so a little sidetrack there to get her going, but that's okay.
That's all right, I guess.
You got
nobody got hurt.
do you got some speeding tickets piling up there, or are you pretty good now at just getting some warnings?
I think I'm free. I think I'm free and clear actually right now.
It's amazing.
I'll tell you what. Last fall was a tough fall for me. I got a late start. Not nearly as late as this year, but it was still, it's kind of funny because last year was the latest I'd ever started hunting in my life, and that was late September, and now this year it turned into late November. So
yeah.
so anyways, but last year I got into a excessive speeding deal right from the get-go. As soon as I got out of the edit from behind the computer, I didn't even sleep at all when I got done with the edit. I hadn't washed my hunting clothes, and I went to New Mexico elk hunting, and I drove all the way to the New Mexico line without sleep and all that, from off of 7 hours of packing my stuff and off of 18 hours of editing. So, I was kind of in this, anything, I don't care. I don't want to say I don't care mode, but I was kind of in what did it is I was driving across the plains of eastern Colorado on some two lane road or something, and there wasn't a vehicle in sight for miles, and I kind of just
let her eat,
let it go a lot further than I probably should have. And I was like, hey, this is pretty cool.
Right.
I made it from Wisconsin to New Mexico in 15, it was right around 15 hours, and I was like, that's pretty good time. I like the way this works,
Sure.
And I knew it was only a matter of time before it probably wouldn't work too good for me. But I'll tell you what. You know, I did get pulled over quite a few times last fall, and you know, I got very lucky on a lot of situations as far as you know, I mean, you are honest up front. Like, yeah, I was in a hurry. This is how fast I was going. You know, like,
Yeah, right.
then it always works out a lot better that way. And you know, police officers, they're just like anybody else. You know, as far as you know, they can relate to being in a hurry themselves and all that, but they don't like it when you aren't honest with them, and they get lied to a lot. So if you just tell the truth, they, you know, might not always let you off, but they'll generally meet you in the middle or something, or make it a little more reasonable. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, obviously you watched some of or all of the new video and whatnot. So
and I've been going pretty hard. I got about an hour left on. I got an hour left on round 2.
okay,
Yeah, and I
well
was
that's pretty
hoping.
good.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And it's been slowing up my progress around here, but I can't walk away
I'm
from
sorry
it.
about that.
I can't walk away
Oh,
from
really?
it. Yeah.
So you do like it?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's what I'm
Good.
saying. I just I sit down and start watching it, and you know, before I know it, I'm kind of drawn into what's going on. It's not something that I've been able, you can put stuff on in the background, but this thing, what you put together, I find myself getting drawn into the story pretty quickly, and then it's hard to like shut it off and come back to it. But
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, but it's how long?
It's what is the bow video? 9 hours and the gun's 3. It's right around there.
So 12
It's right in
hours of
that.
content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the bow video, the gun video is more traditional format, I think. And not that the bow is not. It's just a longer winded, it's a day by day documentary of what 35 days total of hunting or somewhere in that ballpark. It's right around there. So some of those days have 10 minutes of content or a few minutes of content, and other ones have 30, 40. Just that's how hunting goes. Some days you have good days, some days you don't. A lot of days as a do-it-yourself hunter, you have struggle days or days where it's not as productive or whatnot. So it was by far the most massive project we ever did. But we don't have really the manpower resources to do something like that to that degree again. I hope everybody likes it, but it's don't expect another day by day documentary broken down like that, because it's just too much for us
Dude,
to take on with our budget.
I gotta imagine. I tell you what I want to do. I want to jump more into that, but I want to save it towards the end of the conversation, because I got some bullet points that I want to walk through down on here. But before I get completely off track and I lose sight of what I was getting ready to ask you there, it looked like you had a little opportunity there at one of those traffic infractions to potentially get a phone number there from one of those police officers.
Yeah.
Did you keep it
I'm
professional?
sure I probably could have. Well, I mean, whatever. You just never know, But I was in a relationship, seeing a girl at the time, so that would have been.
No, okay. Yeah.
I had to kind of flirt my way through it to whatever.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. But
yeah, I know. It seemed like it was
not
going.
not that I really whatever. I was just making conversation about turkey hunting.
She was a nice, pretty lady.
Yeah, she was a very nice, sweet, young.
That happened to be
officer of the law.
Into hunting.
Yeah, correct.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I mean I wasn't expecting that, but she just kind of mentioned something about hunting, and I was
about
like,
a 20
hunt.
20
so,
point.
Okay, all right.
I think she brought up something about a 20-point buck.
Well, yeah. she said that, and of course my ears perked right up.
They
Like,
did.
okay, I'm gonna need to know more details about
Yeah.
this. Like all of a sudden, I was like, hey, this is really good. I just got pulled over, but at that point, it was like, hey, this could be really cool. But it turned out it wasn't in my unit of where I had a
Ah,
Kansas tag anyway.
bummer.
So I have hunted not far from there and in that unit before, but unfortunately, my license wasn't valid for that area, and I don't even know if there's public land right around there. But you just gotta. I mean, law. I mean, you get pulled over by a cop, you got to use it to your advantage. I mean, maybe they have seen. Yeah, I mean, they're out there traveling these roads. You just got to strike up a conversation. Like
Yeah.
you haven't seen any big bucks. And they'll probably be more than happy to share information with you. So, that's your tip of the day.
All right. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Let me ask you this. You've
Mm-hmm.
been doing this now on public land for 10 years.
Yep.
Have you noticed a steady increase, or has it been something all of a sudden that's hit, like the amount of people that you're encountering on public land? I mean, it shows on your DVD this year that there's like seemingly more pressure in areas that you've been hunting, and obviously, I mean, I'm sure the thought is some of that's attributed to, you guys sharing with people these spots, not specifically, but people being able to
Yeah.
get general ideas. But like the onset of like digital mapping now, and then people
Mm-hmm.
talking about traveling to hunt on podcasts and talking about counties and roads and
Yep. Yeah. No. We've definitely seen an increase. There's no doubt about that. Um, I think it's a culmination of different things. I think, for some of it, I mean, I'd say to a smaller degree, some people might recognize, places in our videos. Sure. I mean, it's public land. They can do that. Of course, in the moment while you're out there hunting, all of a sudden you're running into all these hunters, and you might speculate that happens, and for 30 seconds or a minute or a couple minutes you're kind of like up, a little bit frustrated about it, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like I'm never actually upset if I run into another hunter out there. It's public land. That's just when you decide you're going to hunt public land, that's part of the deal. You're going to run into other people.
yeah,
And I think definitely with the different apps and maps and things like that, that's another area right there that like I said, it's a culmination, I think, of a lot of things. You've got, it's easier to navigate your way around, whether it's to local public lands in your areas or you're doing an out of state hunt for 5 days. That it's a lot easier to kind of get up to speed with where the public lands are and things like that,
right.
off of that information. And my buddy TJ, this last show we did at Deerfest, he brought it up to me, and it was really cool what he said. And we were driving back, and he said, he goes, I don't know if Whitetail Adrenaline had anything to do with this, and I don't care whether it did or not. But his point, what I'm going to say, I was like, that is really cool. And he said, years ago, people were not, public land hunters weren't, as a general whole. He's like, if you went to a show or talked to people and they hunted public land, they were like, it was like a depressed, I'm hunting public land kind of tone, kind of demeanor, the way they,
Hmm.
they were kind of like bummed about it. And he said, now people they when they talk about hunting public land, they're like excited, like, yeah, this is what I do. I hunt public land too, or I hunt public land, and they're excited about it, and they're positive about it. But we were talking about it a little bit, and one of the things that we thought was really cool is it wasn't like what I've noticed is a lot of people are very proud to hunt public land, but they aren't using it as like I'm better than you because I hunt public land. Like, whether somebody hunts public, like obviously I have a lot of respect for somebody that hunts public land, but they don't do it. We don't see it like Do you kind of understand what I'm saying? It's not like
Oh
a
yeah.
self-righteous like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
I'm better than you because I hunt public and you hunt. It's not. We don't see that, you know. And I was hoping things wouldn't go that direction. You know, you see it with bow hunters and gun hunters. You know,
Yeah,
I
you
have a
bet.
lot of respect for gun hunters, although I love to bow hunt. You know, and especially like public land gun hunters, I have a lot of respect for them just from this fact that, and I haven't hunted all states, and you know, obviously you have different situations, but in my opinion, gun hunting public land is almost, if not, in my opinion, it's actually more difficult than bow hunting public land. Just because by that point in the season, they've been very pressured, and you have to do a lot of legwork a lot of times, a lot of, you know, I mean, they've vacated the public lands in a lot of cases, or the deer have, the bigger bucks have, or they're very on pins and needles and very difficult, and you're going to have to get aggressive generally, unless you're going way back in deep, like you know, northern Michigan or northern Wisconsin, or some big public land area, or something that's been overlooked that people don't realize there's a situation like that. So maybe I got a little off topic there, but
No.
I think I think you're definitely seeing a rise in more public land hunters. And another factor in that is people have lost ground that they could hunt for 10, 15, you know what I mean, that they grew up hunting, and you know, now it got sold or divided up and they don't have another place to hunt or whatever. But
Yeah, I think digital mapping and I think podcasting too plays a huge part in it because
well, what the heck are we doing then?
yeah,
No,
I
I'm
know,
just kidding.
right? Get some
I'm
more
just
guys
kidding.
out there.
No, it's fine. It's all good, you know. I
Yeah,
mean, I think a lot of hunters can relate to that. When you're on a public land hunt and you're running into a lot of hunters, you're kind of a little bit discouraged, and that was the point behind it. Is, you know,
absolutely.
we're just like anybody else. We're not actually we're not actually like mad at the person or people, but we're a little bit frustrated about the situation. When you're running into a lot of hunters, you're frustrated about it because
Absolutely.
you're trying to hunt, but you can't be mad or upset at them. I mean,
Well,
they're just out there doing a public land hunt too. So
it's another variable in something that you're doing that already has a ton of variables and is hard enough, you know, and you throw another one on top of it and it's just like, man, I don't need this right
right,
now. But I think a lot of it what it comes down to, and you guys have a great attitude about it, it's like the mindset of ownership and what you were talking about, like guys that own private land and guys that hunt public land not really getting at it. Like everybody actually, I mean, yeah, you can own that private land, but you own that public land too. Like we all own this thing together. You got every right to it, just like I do. I
right,
mean,
right,
and that's, I mean, if you think about it, you could never have all the stuff if it wasn't for every single person that being involved and paying into the system and being able to have it, you know? So
right,
it's like
right.
you can either have it this way or not have it at all, and I'd way rather have it that way than not have it at all. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
but yeah, man, it's
So
I don't know. Yeah, it's I think there's a whole generation of hunters coming up that are going to be more exposed to like the adventurous style of hunting, like what
yeah,
you guys are doing, where they might find themselves, you know, growing up and going to a ladder stand on their back 40 and having some fun and shooting some deer, and then they start getting exposed and seeing like what you guys are doing, and you know, other guys out west and hunting elk in the mountains and stuff, and they're like, maybe I want to try that, you know, and
right,
where are they going to go? They're going to go to
right.
public land
Exactly,
for the most part.
exactly. And that's cool. That's one of the things that I really like over the years. I've really I don't have anything obviously against hunting private land or hunting, you know, out of stands, or you know, a lot of my friends do, or box blinds or whatever you want to hunt out of. If it gets you jacked up and you're excited to do it, do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's kind of my philosophy on it. But I also liked, when we started doing the videos, I also really liked just showcasing, just out there having a good time, and you know, the ground hunting and the different aspects. I mean, it lights me up to the point. If I didn't film, I'd still hunt on the ground. You know what I mean? I don't change how I hunt because of video's sake. I love hunting on the ground, and I love spot and stock and whitetails and all that. But you know, uh, there's I know that style is not for everybody. You know, some people, their style is more sit and wait, and that's awesome. You know, like I said, whatever gets you jacked up, and I obviously I wouldn't want everybody else out there running around like I, or the deer would not probably come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At all. But on the, I guess where I was going with this is sometimes I felt like over the last decade that I've been doing this, I felt like, you know, I don't want to say this in the wrong sense, but you know, some youth, you know, you always want to like, you know, like I don't have kids, but if I had a kid, of course I'd want to take him out, and the first time he goes out there, he shoots a big buck or whatever. But in my opinion, that could almost like maybe potentially like it could go either way, you know.
Sure.
For the kid, it could either hook him, or it could be like, to him it could be like, because he maybe didn't have a lot of work into it, or he didn't have a handful of sits where things didn't go, you know, according to quote unquote plan or schedule. And that's one thing that I kind of like to showcase. I mean, we've had a lot of like younger generation, you know, high school or younger kids that are really jacked up, and they love the idea of ground hunting and whatnot, you know. So, you know, but I just felt like there's a saturation of the opposite. And so, you know, I think it's cool in that regard. Because I do feel that if there's more than one way to hunt and to do it, and if that's the only way that's portrayed in video or whatever, you know, we might have a falling off of you know, the younger generation of youth, if that's all they know.
Yeah.
Or whatnot. And so, you know, but then again, on the flip side, you know, this style of hunting on the ground or whatever, it's not for everybody, and I know that, and that's fine. And you know, you can kill big bucks. You know, we were kind of, Chancey and I, we got on talking about trail cameras, but you know, a little bit in the video or whatever. But they're all cool. I mean, we got a lot of buddies that run trail cameras and stuff, and there's a lot of people that are very successful doing it. But you know, we're in the moment and we're grinding out this hunt, and it's a topic to talk about a little bit, and we're having fun with it or whatever. And for me, I mean, a big thing is I just like the mystery of not knowing actually what's there when
Sure.
I'm going hunting.
Sure.
And so it kind of ruined it a little bit for me if I kind of knew going into it what was there, what's around the, you know, what's in this woods or whatnot. You don't always know, even if you're running cameras and whatnot. So yeah, I got a little off topic there.
No,
I'll let
not
you
at all.
talk now.
I think it's, I don't know, I enjoy your guys' humor, and sometimes some certain things that the way they're portrayed in the hunting industry, they lend themselves pretty easily to being able to poke fun at. You know, we do it from time to time, and it's never done in a manner to like offend anybody else, but you know, being like blue collar guys, I guess that's how you always talk to your friends, basically by making fun of them. So that's what a bit of that always comes down to too. And I always feel like deer hunters in general just get that sense of humor, but sometimes it's not taken the right way, you know. But
Yeah,
I totally get it.
Yeah, I think people, when they watch the videos for a little, I think they totally understand that we're just funning around.
You bet.
And it's an entertainment based video. And I mean, if we're out there screwing up on a deer, making a mistake, we're showing it too, even if we look like clowns. You know what I mean? So I mean, essentially, we pick on ourselves too, you know, indirectly or directly sometimes. You know, so it's all good.
You didn't just, I mean, the ground hunting thing, I mean, you're not just doing it because it's another way to deer hunt. I mean, you're doing it because it's proven effective for you. I mean, which way did it happen? Did you start doing it to think that it would be neat for production, or did you start hunting from the ground because you were like, hey, this is a pretty effective way to hunt?
I would say it was probably almost a split.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I can take a few minutes here and talk about that a little bit. The first time I hunted like strictly, well, I guess growing up, we'll start there. Growing up, I grew up on a small dairy farm, and we had chores and all that type of stuff. And so when we went out hunting, like say bow hunting, my dad would take me out, and a lot of times we'd only have an hour, hour and a half of time. It wasn't a 3 hour, we're going to go hunt tonight, 3 hour ordeal. It was throw on your jeans, your blue jeans, and whatever, and you think you can get up that tree and hang out in that crotch 20 feet up there, and it wasn't like you were packing tree pegs to do it. Like you were using whatever tree limbs were there. I mean, occasionally you'd have a few tree pegs in your pocket, but I mean, that's literally how it was. I never, my dad, it's not like we didn't ever take tree stands in and stuff. I mean, it was like that. And then occasionally you'd get on the ground. And my first time remembering like actually being really close to shooting a big buck on the ground was when I was 16. And I was so close. I just made a rookie mistake, had a big 160 class buck, and I was actually standing, I was on public ground, and I could hunt this field that he was in. He was 17 yards away, and I made just a rookie mistake on him, and I should have shot when I didn't, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a beautiful deer. But anyways, it ignited me, but yet I still for years played the tree stand game. 10 pound, I had these 10 pound really light tree stands that I'd go in and out of places and whatnot, and was fairly productive at it. But I always loved hunting on the ground. And it was 2006, I just kind of took that year, was kind of like my year where I just kind of like ran kind of like wild, in the sense of I'd been hunting this, mainly hunting this one private property, actually two of them, that bordered right in central Buffalo County, and and all that. And I just kind of like, I had gotten kind of like away from what I kind of grew up doing. I kind of got into I don't know, more, everything's got to be done a certain way. Like I gotta wash, I can't wear my, I got to be careful about my scent control and all that. And that year I was getting so stressed out that I just kind of like, what, if I want to hunt, like I had tranny fluid all over my shoes, and I went hunting off the ground. I had like a half hour left, and I shot a buck, and it was on the ground, and it wasn't, that big of a buck compared to the ones I had shot over the last few years. It was probably the smallest one, but it got me jacked up. And
Yeah.
it was off the ground. I had run down this creek bottom, 100, 150 yards, cut them off, got there just in time. Boom, it happened fast. And it just, all of a sudden it clicked in me. And it's like, that's what jacks me up. It's more about, I love chasing big bucks, but it's not about what it scores to me. It's about how that hunt unfolds. And there's just more variables to it. So, I did some hunting, off the ground that year. I did some hunting out of the tree stands, and I continued to hunt out of the tree stands through 07, 08, and 09. But I guess I killed a big one where I got out of the tree stand in 08 on scratching the surface. On preliminary around the first video, there was a couple situations and they're off the ground, and then in 09 too. And so right around that time, I was just like, what? I get more results generally when I'm on the ground for the amount of time I do it. And the footage, I really liked it. And so I was like, let's just take a whole season. And it was 2010 Regroup, that video. That was our first all on the ground video. And so that's when I say it was kind of like a culmination. It was like, I knew it lit me up and I loved doing it. But I also started to see where it was like, maybe more productive. Not maybe, it just felt more productive. And you will notice, like if you watch On a Bullets and then watch Regroup, you'll notice a definite increase in encounters. And along with that, probably an increase in things that go wrong too, because you're hunting on the ground with, you and a camera guy, and you're very exposed in a lot of these situations. And, a lot of times these deer know you're there, you're rushed, you're more tense, they're more tense. And there's a lot more that runs through your brain, and a lot more that can go wrong in just a few seconds. So, yeah, I guess I had to, of course, elaborate for way longer
That's
than
what
I
I
needed
was
to on
looking
that
for.
point, but
No, that's what I was looking for. I mean, You're speaking my language, dude. Like, just the whole enjoying the hunt. I got to look at things a little differently here because, in Michigan, it's not like the land of opportunity for deer that
Right.
score big
Right.
and people are, I don't know. It's not getting a whole lot of likes on social media these days, but I never cared about that stuff. I cared about, how we went from start to finish and story
Yep.
and the hunt. And it was crazy because what you're talking about, God, it was, I think it was the first year. What year was the first year that you put a video out where you hunted with the longbow?
It would have been 2012.
Yeah, so
So that would have been Calm Before the Storm.
right around then, I started shooting a recurve, and I was very uncomfortable shooting from tree stands because I usually hunt pretty high in tree stands, and just
Sure.
the shot angle, I was not comfortable with it. So I was like, all right, well, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have to do it from the ground, and holy holy shit, man, what a learning experience that year was as far as just like being a hunter and being in close quarters with something that you're trying to kill. And I had an encounter with a spike horn buck, and I probably hadn't
Hmm.
shot a spike horn buck in a decade. And
Uh-huh.
I was on a piece of property where they don't shoot year and a half old deer, so I wasn't able to shoot him. But I can tell you, my fingers were taut on that string, dude, and I was just wanting so
Yeah.
bad. That deer was 10 yards from me, and I was thinking what I would have had to pay the landowners for them to not be mad at me for shooting a spike horn buck. But I was like,
Uh-huh.
man, I'm in 10 yards in on this thing with a recurve, and I know I can kill it, and that's all I want to do. And that
Yeah.
was just like an awakening for me, is like, oh my God, man, there's like so much more
So
to,
much more.
yeah, to all of this than just
Yep.
the conventional methods and what I don't know what tickles one guy's fancy isn't necessarily what it does it for everybody. And I
Correct.
just started looking a little farther and deeper into that, and I was actually about at the time when I started having thought processes. I was like, might want to start a hunting podcast because I really like deer hunting podcasts, and I really haven't heard one that I can completely relate to. Like all the deer hunters that I've ever spent time around don't really talk like a whole lot of the guys that I hear that are doing ones.
Sure.
Maybe we could do something a little differently here. So, man, from that point forward, I really started paying attention to like just having the opportunity to get up in the morning and just get out there and see the sunrise and spend a day in the woods, man. And it's just there's so much more to it than just shooting giant deer or paying attention to what, other people are doing, I guess.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, what you just said right there, you're just like on pins and needles, jacked up to shoot this spike buck because you're there. You were face to face, eye to eye with this animal at 10 yards, with a stick and string, traditional bow, and all of a sudden you had that same thing run through your mind, like there's more to it. And I shot the season before during muzzleloader season. I shot the biggest buck I had up to that point in my life, and I had laid eyes on him a few days before I shot him. I don't know how many, maybe it was 5 6 days, whatever. And I had it in my head that he was like 180 plus buck, and I ended up killing him, and he was more like in the upper 60s, but he was still an awesome deer and super cool deer. And I loved him, but at the same point, I was like depressed and I was sad because he didn't hit this number that I had in my head, and it was so stupid looking back on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it ruined the moment for me. Like when I
Sure.
walked up there and I realized like he wasn't what I initially thought. But the silly thing about it is I had let like 28 bucks or something like that. It was right around there. Walk during the gun and muzzleloader season, and I was literally ready to throw in the towel, and I took a crack on a 135-inch buck that I wasn't even that jacked up to shoot. Well, I missed him, And I was like, what the heck? I wasn't jacked up. Like, I mean, it was a 150-yard shot, but I was like, what the heck? Well, that's the night that 45 minutes later, I climbed out from the tree stand to go check out some of this other ground. This was on private that I could hunt. And I drove around kind of just scoping some fields out to see if anything else was coming out since I missed that one. Like, I watched him run for over a half a mile up through the hills and stuff. It was all snow, so I could glass. He wasn't hit at all. So I knew I'd clean missed him. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go explore and see what else is roaming around now that I blew this spot. Well, it was funny because 45 minutes after that, I happened to drive by where I had just been, and here comes this big buck, running right out there where the one that I had just missed had, but thank God it did, because it unfolded like that, because my muzzleloader was actually hitting, like, from what I remember, 8 to 10 inches low at 100 yards. So, it was like weird to me because, it was like the first time my gun had actually been off. But whatever, it was off. It was a blessing. But what I was saying is, I was kind of like throwing in the towel to, on this 135, fully meant to kill this deer. And then all of a sudden, a few days later, I kill this buck that's in the upper 60s. I should be jacked up about it. It's the biggest buck I've ever shot in my life, much bigger than the one that I was going to shoot, And yet, because I had laid eyes on him, that night that I missed that other one, and I had this 180 number in my head, all of a sudden I wasn't, jacked up.
Right.
So it was like this silly deal. And that's why the whole next season, I just, I had been filming a lot over the last few years before that and stuff. Not, I hadn't kicked off Whitetail Adrenaline yet or whatever. But '06 is the year where, I had filmed every year since I was 16. And '06, so for what, 5-6 years before that, every year I filmed stuff, and it got to the point where I filmed almost everything, but that I did. But '06, I was so burnt out, and it's like, why would you be burnt out? You just shot the biggest buck you did, you ever had. I was just like so burnt out, and I couldn't figure out why. And it was just like that. '06 was my unwind year. Like, I ditched all the filming, all the, my camera didn't go out once. I didn't touch it,
Really?
And I just kind of like, it just collected dust. I was just like, I got to figure this out, because I've loved hunting since years before I could hunt,
Mm-hmm.
I just loved hunting my whole life. So it's like, I'm burnt out. What the heck's going on? Is it the way I'm hunting? Is it because I'm filming? I'm not going to get carried away on that. That's maybe for another time. But basically, it boiled down to a culmination of, how I was filming things, how I was hunting. And that's really kind of what launched the Public Land series in '08, is I loved, I grew up hunting a lot of public land and a big swamp near where I lived. And I could hunt a lot of private, local farms. It wasn't great big buck hunting like some famed area or whatever, but I was used to just, going around and hunting different places and new territory and new spots and things like that. And I had it was more adventurous to me, and there was more mystery there.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of gotten away from that. And so, that was, I'm not going to get long-winded on that, but that was a very pivotal point for me, that '06 season.
No kidding.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I gather and grasp everything that you're talking about, because I don't know, man. It's just, well, you guys were part of, exposing it to me. I mean, my brother, I just remember being up at North and my brother saying, hey, look at this DVD I picked up. And it had to be, geez, man, if it wasn't 10 years ago, it was 8 or 9, okay? So he said, yeah, these guys are awesome, and they do everything on public land. And I'm like, huh, that's different, So first DVD, and we're, sold. I was like, oh, every season since then, we've, collectively as a group got the DVD and take it up to deer camp and just been watching it for forever and watching your guys kind of evolution. And it's been like really enjoyable to watch your evolution as like a I guess, as like a videographer. Obviously, you've had invested money in really good quality equipment. I mean, the quality of like just my first year. This is my first year ever filming
Yeah.
stuff, and I worked with a guy that's a professional, and
Right.
I'm always constantly like picking his brain, like why this, why that, and he just explained some things to me, and now I look, now I kind of have a grasp at what I'm looking at,
Uh-huh.
and it's just I don't know. I'm sure you notice it because I see now on your DVDs you spend a lot of time behind the camera as well. I mean, is that something that you really enjoy doing as much as the hunting, as the
Um,
filming?
it depends. Sometimes I'm really jacked up to get behind the camera, and then other times I'm uh let's put it this way, if I hunted a whole season and didn't run a camera, I'd be like, ugh, like, but on the flip side, like if all I did was run a camera, I'd be like, ugh, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
Right.
I do like jumping behind the camera, but I haven't got as much hunting in the last 2 seasons. I mean, I haven't, this year it was the day after Thanksgiving, the first time I touched the bow.
Right.
And last year it was the day or 2 days before Thanksgiving was the first time I touched the bow for whitetails.
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, it, and I love bow hunting. So obviously anytime you're getting near Thanksgiving, you're kind of getting out of rut, and I love rut hunting too, obviously. So,
Right.
um, so I've probably haven't enjoyed running the camera as much the last couple of seasons, but you know, we don't have, excuse me, we don't have a big budget, so basically sometimes I'm forced to be in that position. There's a lot of people that have offered a hand to run a camera, but to run it and get what needs to be captured in order to tell a great story and everything, it's
It's an
it's
artwork.
yeah, it's difficult to just throw somebody behind the camera and
Yeah. No, that's what I'm
expect.
getting at. It's an art form.
Yeah, it's actually almost more difficult than throwing a handy cam in their hands, because they've just got a lot more that they
Yeah.
have to
Right.
keep an eye on. I could go into a lot of details on that. It's production's it's not an easy thing to do and to do well. There's a lot to it. I wish I could set a thing, and maybe there is. I gotta look into it to see how many mouse clicks. See if you could track how many mouse clicks on your,
Right.
that you make, because it's well over a million. Not, I mean, it's well over a million. Like yeah, I mean, it'd probably blow my mind on how many. Um, it's crazy. It's craziness is what it is. So
I just know that I've watched your production qualities go up and up, and this last one that you put out is like it's just great, man. It's a great deer hunting video. It's a great hunting video. I mean, the elk hunting stuff's great. The bow hunting, the gun hunting, it's like it breathes well, but it's fast paced. I mean, it's long, but at no point ever was I like, you know, not enjoying it.
sure,
And
good.
for something to be that long format and to be in, it's I don't know, man. I love it. I thought it was
Yeah,
really good, and obviously you got some really nice cameras. Are you running Sony stuff?
yeah, we are, but I mean, we're running Sony stuff. I like Sony because we beat the crap out of them, and they overall have been very good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we shoot what's called a flat profile. So what that means is it's got a very ugly picture to start with, a very dull picture, and then we post product. We color grade it is what it's called, and you can set those cameras up so you can get a pretty good picture out of it. and that's probably what we ought to do, because we spend a good deal of time,
Right.
at least 1,000 hours just
Right.
into the picture.
I'm familiar a little
I'd
bit.
say, well, I shouldn't say at least, but it's close to that. It's right around that mark. And so sometimes you wonder if the juice is worth the squeeze,
Sure.
and one of the biggest shames right now, we're kind of in a spot where obviously DVDs are we've been doing DVDs for 10 years, and the entire time the company, from the start of the company, we've been a sponsor free company. And you know what that means is it's 100% funded by the DVD, selling the DVDs and selling the apparel line. And so one of the challenges that we know we're going to be facing over the next year or two is we're going to have to move to a download platform. And in order to keep it what it's been, the sponsor free, uncommercialized, just raw, authentic video to the purest that we can, we're going to have to charge for our download video. And we're hoping people are going to understand that. I think a lot of people understand that we're a sponsor free production, but the big costs in production are your overhead of your equipment, your cameras and all your gear and all your audio equipment and your computers and your software and everything you got going on there, and all your time into it. The cost of the DVD is really not that expensive. But when we move to a service provider, our cost is going to be probably more from what we've looked at than actually the cost of manufacturing a DVD. But the cool thing is this is our third season of filming everything at 4K level, but yet we've only ever offered it in DVD, which means it's standard def. So when we produce, the sad part for me is you watch it, you're editing it in 4K and watching it just so awesome and so crisp and so beautiful, and then you put it to DVD, and for DVD it is really good quality,
It
but
is.
it's still standard def,
Right.
which means it's a 24th of the resolution of what
That's
it's
crazy.
actually, of what it could be. Like if once we move to the platform of you can buy this as a download, you know the cost is going to be the same. It's going to actually cost us, from what we figured out, a little bit more than actually the DVD. But for the customer, the picture quality is going to go way up, like substantially, because it's going to be delivered in a 4K platform, which is 24 times the resolution of standard def, what they've been watching in it. It's really crazy. It's a little bit frustrating. I'm really happy with how it turned out for DVD quality and everything,
Oh, I
but it's still
totally get.
DVD.
I get.
So
I get what you're saying. No
so
doubt.
that's the biggest challenge that we're going to have, coming up with keeping the company what it has been, a sponsored reproduction. That's going to be a little bit hard, because there's getting to be more YouTube channels and free content. And there's you've obviously always had the outdoor channel and things like that you don't really pay for. I guess you kind of do. I think it's like $3 a month for outdoor channel, or it was, or whatever. I don't know, but essentially, I guess what I'm getting at is it's just some people, they might feel that they're not, because they're not getting a physical product, it's not valued the same. But for our costs on our end, it's going to be, it's not going to be less. I already know that, because I've looked into it, and that's part of why I've had some reservations on doing that. But we're getting to that point now to where it's going to be a lot more convenient for people, and I think people, once they tune into it and get their hands on the 4K version of it, it's going to be like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So
Will you would you ever have the thought of like if people like still wanted to buy something physical about doing a Blu-ray?
Yeah, I mean, we could move to Blu-ray. The strange thing about it is I haven't had that many people ask for Blu-ray.
Hmm.
We filmed everything in Blu-ray, to at least at HD quality since 2008, since our second video.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's been filmed at HD or higher. The last, including this year, this will be our third season of filming everything at 4K level.
Right.
So we filmed it, and there's no doubt about it. The DVD quality is better when you're filming at 4K. I know the math doesn't make sense maybe on it, but it just comes out looking cleaner and better.
Really?
And yeah, even though you're way above what DVD quality actually is,
Mm-hmm.
you're filming it just comes out looking better.
Yeah.
But I just haven't had. I mean, they make 4K Blu-rays now.
Sure.
I just haven't had a lot of people ask for that.
Yeah, I was just
So,
wondering if you'd still do like an option to have a DVD and a Blu-ray as
I
well
think,
as an
yeah,
option
yeah,
to
yeah,
do a
yeah,
digital.
yeah. We're not gonna just okay. This is the only way to get it anymore.
Right.
I mean, for sure not. We're still gonna do our DVD, and maybe next year we'll launch some Blu-rays as an option too. But yeah, we're not just gonna cold turkey. The only way to get it is download.
I'm
We're not gonna do that. But
I might be in the minority, but man, all the digital stuff, I mean, I do appreciate the convenience of it when you want it and you want it now. But man, do I like having a physical disc, and it's just as simple as like, okay, my laptop's on its last
yeah,
leg, right? The thing is,
yeah,
it dies on me all the time when I'm editing and I got to restart it and shit. But it has a DVD player on it where the new ones
right,
don't. And I'm like,
sure,
I kind of think mine's better right now, even though it's, it's kind of taking a shit on me all the time.
yeah,
I like that I have that option. And I sometimes am annoyed just by how fast technology moves. I was telling my wife yesterday we're cleaning up because we're moving out of our house, and we've been in this house 6 years, and I went into a closet where we keep some like old electronics and stuff, and in 6 years we've been through like 5 or 6 cell phones a piece. And
yep,
I'm looking at them, and I'm like, every single one of these looks brand new because I get like the construction grade cases.
uh-huh,
And it's just like, it's so crazy how fast we move through this shit. I looked at one of those phones and I'm like, well, that phone's got to be 12 years old or something, and I look at it, I'm like, no, it's 5. And
uh-huh,
I don't know, man. Like, I'm always going to like DVDs, CDs, discs, cassette tapes. Like, I like that shit. I think there's something cool about it. You put this big art piece together, and
yeah,
then you put it on a digital download, and I don't know, there's a reason why vinyl was real popular and still is. It has been for forever, is because it was like this art piece, including the album
yeah,
and the cover, and that's something that I appreciate
right,
you guys do. I mean, still, your sister or you or somebody's doing it, putting a handwritten note in
yep,
there and saying thank you for the support and shit, and it's just, I don't know, man. You don't get that a lot of places anymore, and I'm
sure,
sad sometimes to see when we just move away from things that work so quickly.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I mean, if it was up to me, I wish that yeah we could just sell discs forever, and because I agree, I like a hard physical, product myself. You know, um, the drawback is the quality is going to be so much higher,
Right, right.
and on
Yep,
the download side of things,
yep.
and the convenience for a lot of people. It's just it's a ticking time. Part
Sure.
of it is for a while it was like trying to figure out a platform that we knew we were going to have that was going to be safe as far as obviously if it's easy for somebody to buy it and then just hand it off to 100 other people, well, we're going to be out of business, or we're going to have to change our business model, which means alternate funding from sponsors or some sort of
Right,
avenue that is going to
right.
you know potentially change the authenticity of it, you know. And I think, you know, I think now in the age we're in right now, you know, I think companies, at least within the hunting industry, they're more they get it to where you don't have to have as much of an infomercial type of production as what you did 5-10 years ago.
Right.
And so that, you know, if we would have to move that direction, you know, I guess that's one good thing about it, is it's not where it was 10 years ago, where, you know, I think we could still produce a very authentic,
Sure.
you know, video.
Oh yeah, dude.
If we needed to go that route. So
I wouldn't be mad at you guys one bit in
yeah,
knowing
we've
what I know now.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what it takes, the amount of work and time, and, you know, is just insane. The scale that you guys do it at, you know, I would never be upset for 1 second that you guys decided to take some compensation from a different route. I wouldn't think that you would ever do anything that would, like, damage your product. That was one thing I was thinking, and I don't want to forget about it. You know, we're talking about the definition thing. One thing that you guys got on your side is that your story, your content is great. Okay, you can have the highest definition 4K, the most beautiful images, but if there's no action and there's no story and the content's not there, I mean, everybody, a lot of people are shooting in that high quality now, you know, but you got to have something there still, like, to stand out, right?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, that is a higher, it's higher on the priority list than picture quality.
right.
You know, your story is always higher, you know. You know, as long as it's not, you know, complete garbage to where people can't even understand what's
Right.
going
Well,
on. You know, there's a balance point there too, you know.
I'm super conscious of, like, I don't like watching low quality productions. Just like, you know, things on screen. Like, if there's a HD version for $10 and the standard definition for $5, I'm always picking the HD version. I like to see a nice clear picture, and I noticed that with your DVDs right away. I was like, picture quality's fantastic. That's why I was saying it earlier. You got to be shooting with some pretty top level cameras, because the way you guys are capturing stuff is pretty impressive.
Yeah, they I mean, they're good. I mean, like I said, if you could watch it in 4K, it would blow your mind. It really would. It would be like, holy crap. They're pretty. We got two main big cameras now, and they're pretty dialed in. I'm pretty excited about it. It took a lot of configuring, because you can't just, like, with what we're running, you can't just call B&H Photo or some of these other places and just be like, this is what I want. You know, you kind of have to, I don't want to say you got to be a wizard, but there's a lot of research and figuring out, like, okay, I'm going to need this, that's going to connect here. And, you know, it's like, I've been to custom machine shops and had, you know, there's several different custom parts on it to bulletproof it, to make sure it's, you know, if I take a digger like I did a couple weeks ago and tore my shoulder again, stupid. But that's a whole nother story. But anyways, I mean, you take a digger and the lens, you know, is the first thing that hits the ground when you're on a dead sprint, and you know, you got to have a setup that's going to be like, yeah, no problem. How are you feeling? You know, like you know, that's basically, you know, and these cameras, they don't see cases and stuff. They get thrown in the back seat and rolling around and hit the brakes and they roll on the floor, and you got to have them bulletproof. But I mean, there's literally over 100, you know, custom pieces on each one of those setups.
God.
You know, and there's some customizations we did this year that I've never seen done on a camera. Like, my buddy Matt, he films a lot with Shockey, and he's ran some this year, and he filmed it quite a bit on last year's too. But he's pretty jacked up about him. I know some of the stuff that we figured out, there's a lot of customization that had to happen, but it's pretty cool. Well, we're pretty happy with where they're at right now, so it's definitely exciting. But
You basically got roll cages welded around them, huh?
kind of, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you could see I've taken pictures, because someday we might do like some sort of documentary on that sort of aspect of it. So I've taken a lot of pictures of, you know, a lot of the building of the cameras and stuff, because it literally is, one of the challenges, over the last few years is you've got a lot of like DSLR type cameras that have surfaced over the last 5-6 years, and they take a great picture and everything, but there's a lot of drawbacks to them.
Sure.
In the regard of when you're trying to capture run and gun footage, you get a very jello-y looking, jittery type of not that pleasing of an image. You don't have a great telephoto zoom lens unless you're going to change lenses. So in run and gun, it's very difficult to, find a setup that it's like, okay, I can film this hunter at 2 feet away from my lens, and then I can zoom in to a deer at a half a mile, and you can, in the snap of my fingers, I can have that shot. There's not a lot of options out there.
Right.
And so unless you figure out, it's like just the adapter, and they're expensive. I mean, just the adapter to make the lens connect to the body of the camera that we have right now, it's $5,000, just for this little chunk to make the lens, and I found the lenses used for around $6,000. They're $35,000 new. It's but you gotta, it's like, it's there's not a lot of research out there for setting up a setup like what we have. There's not a lot of guys running them, and so you kind of, it's not a cut and dry, I can call this place and they're gonna know everything I need and how to set it up right. It's a lot of figuring it out, and so
anything that can keep up with you guys is impressive. I mean, you guys kind of pretty good at pushing the red line. What is that? The backpack setup you got on though? Was that something that you came up with?
No, it's not. It's a very expensive setup. It's made over in Europe. It's we got 2 of them now, and even that, I sometimes people might not realize what goes into like the cost. I mean, those things, the way they're set up right now, they're $6,700 a pop.
It looked like a frame pack with some type of.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are, and what the trouble with, I mean, these big cameras we're running, they're awesome at run and gun. They're awesome at, hey, I got to film this deer at a half a mile or a mile. They're awesome at that. They're awesome at a lot of things. And that's why we're running them. But they're also, right now they're tipping right around 30 pounds.
Right.
And then you're packing extra batteries too. So the camera guy's literally got over 40 pounds on him.
Right.
With the vest and the camera and everything. So the vest, I mean, trying to freehand that unit for hours on end is I don't want to say, I mean, sometimes we, in the heat of the battle, don't throw the vest on, and we go chasing after a deer and make it work, but it's a lot of camera to handle, at 30 pounds bare weight, and now you got a deer that freezes up on you for 5 or 10 minutes, and it's a lot more challenging to run without the vest. So they've definitely helped out quite a bit.
Does a company make that whole product start to finish, like the frame pack with the armature on there and the whole thing?
You can order them that way, but there's 2 separate companies that actually make, like, there's 2 separate companies that actually make what we have configured.
Okay.
As far as that vest goes.
Yeah, because that frame pack that you had on there looked familiar to me, and I was like, damn, is that like a hunting frame pack? And those guys like welded something up and put that on
No,
there, or?
no, it's definitely not. Um, it's something you'll see them sometimes, like at I don't NFL games. Every once in a while, you'll see them running on the
Okay,
sidelines with one,
I got you.
or like different. Olympics. If you watch the Olympics, every once in a while, you'll catch a guy running around with one of those.
Right on.
They are pretty awesome, but they're expensive. But they're pretty necessary for this type of production too in a lot of cases. So they're a little hard to crawl with, though. I will say that.
I bet.
I would like to talk to the owner of the company though, because I think they could do a lot better job on their vest. I'm not real happy with their vest
Oh, okay.
design. It's
All right.
not very comfortable.
Have you tried reaching out to him?
No, I haven't, among other things. So.
You just talking about batteries. Just watching what you guys are going through and the amount of filming that you do. You must spend ample amount. I mean, what do you do? Plug in 30 batteries at night before you go to bed, or what?
We actually the big we got some big batteries for this one. Not as big as what you can get. We could convert to a bigger battery system, but that's going to add about 3-4 inches on the back of the camera and a couple extra pounds. And so we can get through. Our batteries last about 4 hours on those big cameras. But now this year we upgraded to some better monitors so we can actually see what the hell we're filming.
Nice.
And those need extra battery power. So there goes, we had to buy, we spent another $1,000 in those types of batteries, and they're only 1.5 pounds, thank God. But,
God, you're telling me you spend that much money on those cameras and the monitors are still subpar?
Well, the monitors that come with them, they're okay, but they're not that that great. And then for us, we had a lot of drawbacks to them as far as like we couldn't get the cameras balanced right because the cables aren't long enough, and nobody makes a longer cable or an extension cable, so they're very uncomfortable. And none of that stuff is cheap. It's like the monitors are $2,500 a pop that we're running. It's I spent it was just over $1,000 in double A's this year. rechargeable double A's. Okay. So that's just rechargeable double A. You know what I mean?
That's what I was getting at. Like all the batteries, your POV cameras, cell phones, everything. It's like
it's crazy, man. It's like there's right around $30,000 in audio equipment. And it's not even what I really, really want. It's just it's good stuff, but it's not what I really, really want. It'd be about $50,000 to do what I really, really want, and I'd have to start from scratch to do it. But there's only so much budget. You know what I mean?
Are those dash cams and the cams that you're running on your decoys? Are those Sony's too?
Yes,
they are. Yeah. Those are nice. Yeah. They shoot.
Yeah.
Clean, like nice.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with those.
I don't like to give away too many secrets, but I'm not a fan of GoPros. I bought some in 2012, had a lot of problems with them. I won't get into a lot of details, but my standing joke since then has always been no pro. If I got a buddy that's telling me about his GoPro and I know him well enough that I'm comfortable, I'll just tell him, GoPros are no pros. And then it's like when they came out with the 4K version of the GoPro, I always laughed and I said, well, it's really 0K because you don't know if the battery's actually going to go dead in 2 seconds or not. So that was my joke. It was so bad that the GoPro, a rep for GoPro got a hold of me, sent me an email, and he probably didn't. I'm sure he didn't know that I had already tried GoPros and wasn't impressed, but he actually offered to send me a bunch of GoPros if I wanted to use. And I was like, it was so bad that I didn't even, maybe I'm a jerk, but I never even got back to him because I was just like, you know what? I don't know how to respond to that because I'm going to offend him if I tell him that I'm not really interested.
Well, I've been looking for different alternative as well because it was just a little something that I caught earlier this year and it annoyed me, but a friend of mine had sent me an article, and he said, "Hey, read this and let me know your thoughts." And it was a anti-hunting piece on grizzly bears.
Mm-hmm.
And right at the top, there was a banner scrolling across, people running ads on it, and GoPro was running ads on an anti-hunting
Sure.
article. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm probably not going to buy another GoPro just because that's, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
But I know what other options
Yeah.
are out there. But I know there's Tacticam too, and guys like
Yeah.
those, and I know those guys are real pro hunting, so.
Yeah, the GoPros have probably gotten a lot better since then too. I don't know, but I just know that I've always been real happy with Sony products. Now, my buddy Matt that I was telling you about, he's had a little string of bad luck with Sonys here this last year, but I've always had really good luck with them, and I've ran them for 10 years, and that's
Yeah.
about the only thing that I'll buy anymore is Sony. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But
Let's wrap this thing up on some deer
yeah,
hunting stuff real quick,
yeah,
man.
let's do that.
What do you got going? What are you doing right now? Where are you? Like, what do you got going
Uh,
on tomorrow? Are you hunting or?
yeah, I'm actually running a camera right now. I'm in Kansas with my buddy Jeremy, and we've been close. I was hunting here last week, and there's one buck I probably should have went and gone after, but it was like a couple days into my first bow hunting, and I was like, it was one of those deer that I was just kind of like not that jacked up about, and so I didn't go after him, and then I got on a couple other pretty good bucks. One that I actually did, maybe seen it. I had a live video. I was going after this one, but he gave me the slip. So, anyways, or I guess it wasn't a live video, but it was pretty much live. I posted it right away. But anyways, so yeah, I haven't gotten a lot of bow hunting in this year. I've had a few situations. I got right around Thanksgiving. I had a few situations that just silly stuff would happen. Like deer was 1 or 2 yards onto private, locked up with a doe, and nothing I could do about it. Or big buck, got his doe just across the line on public. I'm a half mile out glass and waiting for the right situation to sneak in on him, and some pheasant hunters showed up. And, just silly stuff like that happened. There was 4 situations in like 4 days or right around there that just craziness, just silly stuff happened. So I haven't had a good opportunity. We've been on a couple around that 150 class here the last few days. We got visuals on 2 of them tonight, but they were on public, just tough situations to do anything, and it's late season, so we don't want to blow them out. We're just kind of waiting for the right opportunity. We almost got one of them 2 nights ago, but we kind of boogered him up a little bit, but he's still in there. He didn't get too riled up, which is kind of surprising, but he's there.
Since you got a late start, are you gonna do you always take it down to the wire, or is there sometimes before hunting seasons are over where you're like, all right, I got everything we need, or do you always just take it right down to the last day? Because I'm imagining this year you're gonna take it down to the last day, huh?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I always take it down to the last day. Even if we have a really good season
Mm-hmm.
or whatnot, I always take it down to the last day. And I always ask myself, what the hell did I do that for when I'm in that situation? It's the last couple of years haven't been overall as productive on the kill side of things. I mean, we've been grinding, but you have years like that. You have seasons like that, and I say, okay, we didn't have a great season, but did we have a great, it's like like killing a couple of mid 160s with a bow, a 150s with a muzzle loader, a decent 125 with a gun, a couple, or 2-3 big, or 2-3 elk, run around there on public land with a couple of cameras, and then having several other opportunities that just you were really close on. That's really not that bad of a public land season, but in my eyes, it's like not that great. You know what I mean? But it's still a really great season
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, I mean, there's a certain amount of people that they do want to see more kills always, and so I'm always trying to push to get that, and some years we don't. We're sitting, despite me not getting out there early in the year and stuff, we do have a pretty darn good season so far wrapped up. So it's kind of been a little bit of a stress reliever actually on my end, because I don't want to say that I'm a micromanager a little bit, but I sometimes feel like if I'm not there, things aren't getting captured right, or things aren't, or we're not getting idea. But I mean, this year I didn't have a choice, and it was kind of a relief actually. It was kind of fun checking in with like Chancey and Jeremy and my buddy Logan and whatnot, and checking in with those guys and seeing how they were doing. And it's things shaped up pretty solid, and I know Matt was running the camera with Chancey and stuff, and he got a lot of great footage, and I'm not worried about that one bit. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about it so far, and I think there's a pretty good chance we're going to get at least one here over the next few days. So that'll make a pretty solid bow video. And, I mean, really, we're one kill off from tying the record as far as bow kills that we've ever had on a video in 8 years. So
no shit.
So it's been pretty solid.
Do you guys go what to then December?
End of December. That's probably going to be a wrap. I might have a little stuff in early January. I might do. It's still kind of up in the air a little bit, but
okay.
But yeah, we got bow hunting here for probably 4 or 5 days, something like that, and then we got a muzzleloader hunt here near the end of the year that we're gonna do. So,
dude, you must have some serious like mental drive to stay focused, because the amount of work that you put in is ungodly, and you don't have a boss like standing over you telling you, Jared, don't go to bed, stay up and do this for days on end and take years off of your life. Like, is it just that much passion that you have to see it through? Are you that stubborn? I mean, how the hell do you wake up every morning and stay on track and getting out there in the field and then coming back and uploading all? I mean, the amount of work that you're doing is literally asinine, almost subhuman. And I just don't know how you consistently keep doing that. It's crazy to me. You got to have some like mind tricks that you do on yourself or something, huh?
Well, first off, to be fair, I'm not really a morning person. So I do have a hard time waking up.
Okay.
I actually have the loudest alarm clock that my sister could find on the World Wide Web for me. And even that, a lot of times I'll sleep right through it. Like, yeah, I mean, I've actually seen a doctor. Do I have a sleeping disorder? I'm like, I can't count the number of times, that I've been up for 40 hours plus working. I have no problem staying up.
That's crazy.
But I, as far as like waking up, I don't do that nearly as well as I'm way below average as far as.
Did this start at a young age? Were you late for school?
I've always been like that. Growing up, I grew up on a dairy farm, and my dad used to call me Jer Bear because I was a bear to wake up in the morning, and so I've never been a morning person. It's just the way that I'm wired.
All right.
And it's just waking up for me. I just shut down so hard, and when I'm out, I'm out.
Yeah, I can see that in your videos. Like, you got your buddies get you sleeping, and you could tell you were. And I know like you stay up for those long stints. So I imagine when you fall asleep hard, and it's like, man, that's like motivating me to want to take a good nap right now, just seeing how comfortable Jared looks sleeping.
Yeah, 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 right. No, I mean it is. It's a lot of work. It's
You 40 out.
eh,
You stayed up for 40 hours straight.
oh, I wish I would have started counting when I started this business, especially
That's
because
insane.
it's in the hundreds. Like, and I'm not exaggerating on that.
Holy shit. That's not
Yeah,
human, man.
it's crazy. I mean, like last year's project, I got 4 hours of sleep in a 96-hour period. Showed up to my buddy's wedding, and they were like, "You need to go see a doctor because you look like you're like annihilated on drugs right now." And I'm like, "I assure you, I'm not on drugs, but um, I I can run a long time without sleep."
God.
This year's project, I didn't push myself as hard on those stints. I kept a pretty steady, I'd do a lot of like 16 to 20 hour stretches, and I could stay a lot more consistent, I guess. And I felt like I'm afraid that if I just couldn't do it for whatever reason. It was weird. It was like, I do it going into show season. A lot of times you're packing up the trailer, getting everything ready, driving through the night, getting there, setting up the booth, running the booth all day. And then people want to go out, grab a couple drinks, whatever. I've done that for about 10 years now. I
Right.
think maybe it is 10 years, going into 10 years now, as far as the shows go. It's 9 or 10. Anyways, but something happened to me around when this edit started, and I don't know, it's probably a blessing for me, but I just couldn't, like, I told you that I have a little bit of a hard time waking up, but I could run, like I said, 16, 20 hours, consistently, no problem. But I just couldn't push myself as much into, 40 plus hour stretches. I had them, but not like, I mean, I remember there were 6 full 24-hour periods in a row where I got less than 10 hours of sleep. I was calling before the Storm project to get that one wrapped up. Defiance, I was up for 60 hours straight. You know,
God, dude.
uh, to complete that project. And those aren't numbers I'm just pulling out of my head. Like, those are facts. Like, 48 hours in, call my sister, come over here. I'll pay you what I pay you on your hourly wage. Just make sure I don't fall asleep at the computer. I mean, that's I'm not making that up. But I just couldn't quite do it on this project. But it's probably a blessing, because as big as this project was, as massive as it was, it probably would have burned me out. It probably would have, like, literally been maybe the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, there's a number of times in a year I'll ask myself, well, what am I doing? Because there's a lot of work that goes into it, and you don't do it for the money, for sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes you hit those points, where all of a sudden, you're eating elk tags like I did this year. That, one of which I had been sitting on for points and drew it, and now I can't go because I got to get this project done.
Right.
And you start to stress out a little bit, and it was a good project in the terms of it actually kind of, like, it was stressful, but it also, like, relieved me, because I kind of got to a place where it was like, you know what, I just got to accept it. That's the way it is. I'm not going to be able to do any elk bow hunting this year, and it'll be fine, because
Right.
I've been working on this elk bow project. I really want to get it done and wrapped up, but anyways,
I saw you tease that
it's
on a little bit here on this project, and
yeah.
I was wondering about that. So you got a bow hunting elk project that you're working on.
Yeah, it's
Damn, I'm excited to see that. The elk hunting shit's been real nice. I mean, I know it's Whitetail Adrenaline,
right.
but it's cool, man. I really, really, really been enjoying it.
Cool. Good. Good. Yeah, no, the elk bow video, I mean, it might be a few years before we get that out, but it's been a wild ride itself. I've been pretty quiet about it, but
Okay.
it's been a pretty wild ride as far as that goes. So, yeah.
Well, hey man, we're not getting any younger, and sleep's gonna keep you alive. So at some point, you probably will have to realize that I don't know, it's different in your mid-30s than it is in your mid-20s, right? It's a little harder to recover, and you guys run
Right.
hard during the day,
Right.
all year and shit, and it's just a lot, dude. I know what you do, and this year being involved with a film project. I mean, I never knew anything about filming or taking cameras into the woods or hunting with two people, so this season was a real eye-opener for me,
Mhm.
and then watching everything in your production piece, I'm just like, geez, man, these guys are like next level. Like, it's just, I don't know how you do it, man, but you do it, and I'm glad you do. So,
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I do love it. I mean, I do enjoy it. I've been trying to, the biggest bottleneck of the company right now is the post production. There's no doubt about that, and I think we're on the right track. I know that seems crazy because this year's the latest release, but we also took on a lot more overall footage, and there's some other, different elements in there that contributed to it that I think we're heading in the right direction with it. So, but this year, yeah, was just, I mean, it was twice the overall bow, the end bow video is twice as long as anything else. And that any other bow video we've done. So it's like, it was already a ton of work back when it was, half that size. And then in 1 year to jump to that is just, it's like kind of mind boggling actually. But we got through it, and it was I mean, it's like I said, we wanted to do something a little bit different than what we had done, and as far as we wanted to show a little bit more of the day to day, and the true grind of it, and sometimes we're not in the field as much as, we're not showcasing as much in the field as what I'd like at times. Sometimes we're cooped up in the car more. But I will tell you this, like that Kansas hunt that we do where we're in the cars a lot. That's the most grind hunt that there's been a couple people that have done that hunt that I know,
mm-hmm.
and they totally get it. That's the most difficult grind hunt I've ever done in my life, because chances are you'll probably get one or two opportunities, but you might be in that vehicle for 5 days, stopping at all these public land places, glass, and constantly keeping your eyes going. And it is a mentally draining hunt because you're cooped up in this car, and that, there's no point in me walking out in this 160 acres of grass that's knee high, because I can look out there and see there's nothing out there.
Right.
you know what I mean? It's a little bit, it's a tough hunt. It really is.
I could see that. I know my personality. I wouldn't do well with that, because you got to be able to turn it on. You're off and on. You're not like always engaged, right? Like you said, you're kind of driving around. I mean, you guys pass a lot of time by hitting Dairy Queen and chewing on sunflower seeds.
You have to,
right?
You have to. No, I'm not even kidding. I mean, that is part of what keeps you literally, like, mentally. It jumpstarts your motivation a little bit. We've seen it firsthand. Like, go hit. You're kind of cooped up in there. Things aren't going right. Go hit Dairy Queen. Whatever. Get yourself a little ice cream. And we joke about it like back in the game, but it's the truth. If you're a little bit mopey or whatever, go get yourself a treat. Like, you don't go eat a granola bar. Eat a Snickers. Come on, treat yourself a little bit. You're out there grinding. Have a good time. And I'll tell you what. There's you eat a little Snickers or whatever. There's a mental boost you get from it. There's a all of a sudden because you're treating yourself, and that's just the way it is. And I've seen it quite a bit where all of a sudden you're back in the game. You're excited to get out there and let's give it a whirl again. Let's go get our butts kicked again,
Yeah,
So,
that's why I sent you that thing before I forgot when I was talking to you and hung up with you on Friday. I was like, shit, I forgot to tell Jared about them those little coffee packets. And then
oh, those, yeah, yeah, yeah.
when I tried to text you back, I didn't have service, but I think you can only get them online. My brother and my buddy bought like packs of those, and they come right in like chew tins, and they're just like a little chew
Yeah.
pouch, but they got coffee in there and taurine. And dude, they're like one of the better things ever to come across for deer hunters.
I got to try them. I'm
You're
not a big coffee guy, but I bet I'll like them.
Yeah, they're like, I mean, whatever. I've chewed a couple times and got sick both times from it. Right? I've never been a chewer, but I get why people do it because you get a little bump of something going on there too, right? Little lift energy, little boost, little morale boost. But those things are just little packets of caffeine that you tuck into your lip, and they taste good. They got like chocolate, vanilla, some different flavors. I mean, I would think you guys would probably just crush.
Oh, yeah.
Open up the back of the Suburban and empty cans of those things just be falling out on the road,
Yeah, I'll have to give them a whirl.
Well, dude, get some rest. You're going hunting in the morning?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
We'll be out there. We got some spots we're going to go glass this time of year. Kansas is a very open state, and so this time of year you got to, like in the morning, you got to try to get a bead on one with the glass generally, and watch where he beds and try to sneak in on him. We're right now we got a night spot, but it's very tough. There's a decent amount of deer in there, and you're trying to play the game of not, okay, I know he's within an acre or two of this spot right now. I just got a visual on him, but there's 8 does in there, or 3 little bucks with 5 does, or whatever, So it's a tougher game, for sure. But
are you guys at somebody's place, or are you posted up at some sleazy hotel?
Usually we just like hotel it up, but we found a little house here that I don't know. We walked into some place to eat and found a little card. Someplace had a little house to rent that was like the same price as a hotel, and
there you go.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty cozy.
Yeah, especially for hunting because you got your gear and your
exactly
vehicles and stuff. And if you do kill something, right, what do you do with it when you're in a hotel? Keep it in your car, right?
Yeah.
Coolers and stuff.
Get it cut up and throw it in the cooler. Yeah. So.
Well, good deal, man.
Yep.
Man, I'm kind of honored to have you be the guy that was on here with me tonight. I was mentioning I sold my house, and I got the guys coming over Friday to do the last podcast here in the studio. But out in my studio, my garage. We got a bar where we sit down and hang out and do these. But when I do them over the phone, I got a spare bedroom upstairs that I come up here and I sit down and I do these, and this will be the last one that I do in this house. So,
oh, nice! You got a new place. Cool.
Yep, we're out of here, and it's just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of where the whole thing started, and I don't know where it's going from here, but it'll be the last one that comes out of this room. I know that. So, thanks for being with me tonight and spending the time to do this. So.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. And I saw Danae posted something that the DVDs are they're out. They're shipping. Pre-orders are out. Can people go on the website right now and buy this season's DVD?
Yeah, they can go on the website. Otherwise, we have a lot of different stores that carry them too. And those, some stores have them already. Some will be getting them, within a day or two if they don't have them. Okay. So they can get them there, and Danae's had some help there as well. I know she's been working a lot to get them all shipped out, and I think she just got completely zeroed out, caught up today, which is really, really good because she had a lot of them, or they had a lot of them, and so yeah, they're all caught up, and yeah, that's been pretty smooth since we got them. Obviously, it's it kind of stinks because we used to be able to get our DVDs turned in a week after we were done in post production. We'd pay extra, it might cost us a couple grand or whatever, but at least but now it's been a 3 to 4 the last 2 years. It's been a 3 to 4 week, turn time from mass production. So that's kind of delayed us that much further as well. So, but yeah, we got the DVDs in hand Friday, I guess. I think a few of them rolled in. They got a few boxes in Thursday, but not enough to really do much. And then the rest came Friday, kind of deal. So, anyways, she's been on it all weekend and early this week getting everything shipped out. So
is there a lot of stores? What off the top of your head, sporting goods stores or something that people find them at?
Yeah, my sister Danae, she put together a new website that launched. I think there's a dealer page on there. I got to check with her on that, make sure that is up and rolling.
Okay.
So in Michigan, just a few off the top of my head, I know like Shootbox has them, Jay's Sporting Goods, or I shouldn't say they have them, but if they don't have them, they're getting them within a day or two. And I know there's a handful of others. God, I'm having a.
Did you say Jay's?
I'm not in. Yeah, I'm not as involved in that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just curious.
As I once was,
Sure.
So I wish I.
That's okay, but people can find it on the website.
Yeah, they should. They should be up there. Otherwise, if they send an email to the you can through the website, my sister Danae will be able to, direct them or whatnot. So.
And obviously, if you're on the website already, you can just throw it in shopping cart and have it at your house in a day or two. The way the mail works now, right?
Yeah, there's always that option, and they're getting them shipped out. Now that they've got all the pre-orders and everything like that zeroed out, they're shipping on a daily basis, so they'll be shipped within 24 to 48 hours at the latest. But I think right now it's pretty much if you get it in, if they're zeroed out, if you get it in before noon, it's probably shipping that day. I don't want to say for sure, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
But it's not like, hey, it's going to ship next week kind of deal or something silly like that right now. So, hopefully next year, I think we're going to be sitting a lot better as far as our release date and everything. We should be back on track as far as that goes. So.
Whatever, man. Just keep putting out the high quality, product that you do. I'm glad you don't sacrifice the final product to get it out on a certain date. I'm sure you were conscious of it the whole time, wanting to have it out earlier and just going in there every morning or being in there late at night and thinking, man, I'd like to get this done, but at the same point in time, I know what I want the finished product to be. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate hearing that because that's just it. I could have, we could have just cut it off and shipped it out the door, September 1st. So I got to go on this elk hunt or whatever. But it's like, it's just not where, my vision is for where it needs to be. And that's what the holdup is. It's not because I'm going out, Saturday or Friday and going fishing. It's not like that, or I'm slacking. It's I'm giving it everything that I can, and it's just not where it needs to be yet. As far as a lot of that stuff like audio and all of that stuff. We spent a lot of hours getting that stuff so it sounds good. Because it doesn't sound like that out of the gate. I assure you. You can buy really expensive audio equipment, but it still needs to be all balanced and cleaned up, and that's a whole that's a very time consuming process in itself to get it to that level. So we could push it out the door sooner, but then it wouldn't be quite as like you said, it wouldn't be the same.
Right.
So
last thing, you're talking about the audio. Who picks all the music for everything? Do you do that, or is it
I do that.
Yeah, good job, dude.
I do that. And yeah, I did happen to, I didn't, near the end of the project, I don't know, I felt like disc 4, maybe the soundtrack was a little louder than it should have been. I felt like it was better than it's been in the past overall. The you know, but disc 4, I felt like the soundtrack might have been coming in a little bit higher than it should have been. But that's part of a producer. You know, they just they just
You're
they
picking.
just
You're
they
pick.
nitpick. You know, they get, I happened to, I wanted to show it to, I think it was Matt. We were cooped up in a hotel here on one of those first few days, and I don't think I had watched the actual disc after it had been burnt, is what it came down to.
Okay.
And so we were watching it like I watched it before, made sure, okay, this is what,
Right.
but I just felt that way, but maybe my ears were a little off tune that night too. I don't know. But yeah, that's another, area that it takes time, unless somebody's really done post-production work, they probably won't really understand how much actually goes into it, or if
Right.
they've sat there and watched an editor actually work and do it.
Yeah.
It's I can sit here and say it's a lot of work, but and whatnot, but there's really no way to really say it in words.
Right. Yeah. I was talking to a guy a week or so ago that had made a hunting film, and just picking his brain on a couple things. And I said something about it being very difficult to film killing an animal, that I had underestimated, and he said, difficult is not the word. He said it's nearly impossible, and then to put it all together in a production piece and this and that. And I was like, it's just funny that you say that, because yeah, it's hard to put into words, like the amplification of just difficulty that is added to the already hard task of trying to go out and kill whitetails with bow and arrows.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, because I'm kind of a little bit of a unrealistic realism, if that kind of makes sense. Like sometimes I'm like way on the other side, where like I'm way too realistic and like, that'll never work or whatever. And then other times I'm like complete opposite, like, well, what the heck? Why? Yeah, we can do that. And yeah, for years it was like filming it, I never treated it like it was any more difficult than actually not with the camera there. But in recent years, I've kind of, and I think part of it, the reason I looked at it that way, is that because I didn't want it to be that way. I didn't want to admit that it is a whole nother. I mean, you got a whole nother guy behind you, and in order for him to film it, he has to be more exposed than the hunter to begin with, to film it right. And you got twice as much movement, twice as much human scent, and everything. You're on the ground with these things at eye level, and you might have multiple deer on there, and so now you got two guys that got to be paying attention to all these other deer and making sure they're not moving at the wrong times. There's a lot of variables that come into play, and it's definitely, cost us deer in some situations, but that's part of what you're out there doing.
Yeah.
But I never try to use that oh, we'd have got this deer if we weren't filming. I never try to use that as like a scapegoat. It's just part of what we're doing. So it's just like, every once in a while, it's like, yeah, that probably did cost the situation. But I try to like look at it like, what could we have done differently? If it was something to do with filming it, or what could we have done differently to still capture the footage, but yet not blow the hunt or blow the situation. And yeah, it's you could do, a guy could do a documentary just on that itself.
No, there's no doubt about it, man. I mean, if you wanted to, if you really think about it, you could do a 12-hour hunting video on 2 days of hunting. Yeah, you know what I mean? There's there's just so much that goes into the actual effort out in the field, and then, man, doing it on public land, I don't know, man, and then capturing it on video. It's, you guys have done it. You've done it at an amazingly high level. You've killed just some unbelievable caliber of whitetail that I just couldn't even imagine that you'd ever gotten that deer and got it on camera, and 2 guys. I mean, I look at some of the stuff that you guys have done, and it's just, it is surreal. And man, you guys have set the bar very high for anybody that, you know, is going to try to go and do a whitetail production piece in the manner that you guys do it, and then to have your, you know, your core group of guys and the camaraderie and the humor. I don't know, man. It's an absolute great thing, and I'm glad you guys have been doing it all this time, and I look forward to seeing future productions. And I got an hour. I know exactly what I'm doing for the next hour when I get off the phone with you. I cannot wait to finish watching the end of this DVD. And then, once I get moved, I'm going to reward myself with a cooler full of beer and to sit down and watch this whole thing again.
Well, I hope you got a big cooler.
Well, I'm not going to do it all in one stint because I'd be passed out drunk sleeping.
Yeah, well, that's why we broke it up into, you know, that is one thing about the bow project. It's 4 discs, and we broke it up into, we wanted to make it easy for people to, you know, basically find their way back, so they didn't feel like they had to watch the thing in all one set, because it is, I mean, it's 9 hours. It's long to sit there and watch it all in one set.
Right.
You know, so we did it, you know, the day by day. You got a date there. And with your remote, if you hit the next chapter, it'll take you to the next day. That's how we broke it up. And then you have chapters in there. So we tried to make it easier for people to navigate. So they, you know, hey, maybe I want to watch, you know, a chapter tonight, and maybe I'll watch another one tomorrow night or next week or next weekend or whatever. You know, it's kind of one of those projects that we kind of felt like, okay, maybe people will watch the full thing over the course of a month. You know, maybe a chapter here, a chapter there kind of deal. And, yeah, obviously we know people are going to watch the full thing all the way through. Yeah. But, you know, our intent was to break it up into these chapters and everything. So, you know, I felt like it was actually a really good documentation for people to actually watch kind of after their season just got done. So that's not the way that I planned it. Of course, I wanted the videos to be out a lot sooner. But as far as the bow video goes, I felt like it was you know, a lot of people do have grind seasons and grind years. And I felt like people would really relate well with that. You know, like I said, I didn't plan it that way, obviously, but after it was all said and done, and it's like, well, this is the earliest that we can get them back from post-production. This is, you know, that's it. It was like, well, that's one good thing, is I do feel like the video is going to be a good kind of like after-season video, if that makes sense.
12 hours, I was just thinking about that. 12 hours of content. If you watched 12 hours of TV, you would have actually only probably watched about 4 hours of actual content, and then 8 hours of advertisement. Where yours is that much content. I mean, that is like sitting down and watching 6 movies in a row. That is unbelievable that you guys put out that much content. Really.
Yeah. I don't know if it's quite that. What is it? It's 16 minutes an hour of commercials, I think, is what it boils out to.
Oh, is it really? I thought it was more than that.
I mean, it might be more now.
Yeah, you know, I think in a 30-minute television program, there's about 8 minutes of ads.
Yeah.
So
I think that,
you're coming up to about a third of the time is advertisement. So
right. For a little while, that was one of my pitches at the shows. Like, what's your time worth? How much? You know, it's. You know, because, you know, some people would be like, oh, it's $20 for a video. And I'm like, well, it's 4 hours. It's not a 90-minute video, and it's not packed. In 4 hours, you'd watch over an hour worth of commercials. Do you like commercials? No, I didn't say it quite like that, but that's, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because I you can't turn your phone on or nothing nowadays without getting bombarded with advertisements.
Right.
But it's almost undoable.
Mhm.
And so to have something that doesn't have all that is very, very nice and very enjoyable and a breath
Good.
of fresh air, man.
Yeah.
My
Well,
call for is for people to order it now and then have get pretty hammered on New Year's night, and then New Year's Day wake up, start hitting Bloody Marys, and crush like 9 hours of the bow hunting thing. You
and
know?
then finish it.
Yeah, exactly. What else are you gonna do? It's cold
That's a
out.
full pull.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you don't feel great, but man, Bloody Mary, little deer hunting video, start that in the morning. You know what you're doing for the rest of the day.
All right. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some people that follow those guidelines that you've set forth there.
All right. Not a bad idea. Not a bad way to
Yeah,
spend a
no,
day. Well,
but
all right, man. Good luck tomorrow. Get some rest.
yeah, I'll need it.
And we'll talk soon. Thanks for
All
doing
right.
this, dude.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. All right, sounds good. Have yourself a good night. I didn't even ask you how'd your northern Michigan hunt go?
You know what? I'll send you some film to check out here
Awesome.
soon. I'll just say this. This weekend was a weekend that I think a lot of people that we captured, that a lot of people will enjoy and appreciate. It was man, I don't know
Yeah,
how to word
if
it.
you're still recording, you don't need to give the details away. It's
No, no,
okay.
no.
I
I
won't
want to
be
tease.
offended.
No, I
Yeah.
almost want to tease it a little bit because it was such an interesting weekend. We're going to talk about it when the guys come over this week because my brother had a
Cool.
crazy scenario happen to him, and I had a run in with a mature big woods buck, and he busted me. He J hooked me. I was sitting in a stand, and he was coming straight in. I thought I was going to kill him dead to rights. And at 30 yards, he walked a big J hook as if he knew right where I was. And then he like was just stood there for till it got dark. Just stood there, and it was too dark to shoot. So at that point, I was like, "Well, what's it matter? I'm just gonna hit him with a couple grunts just to see how he reacts, you know."
Mhm.
And he hit me back with like a real aggressive, like almost like sounded like a doe blowing, but like 4 times as loud and like real deep and throaty.
Uh huh.
And then he just started walking off, and I hit the grunt one more time. He did that again, and that was it. I never got a shot at him. But the cameraman, captured. We only had the buck going through the pine trees. You can never see his rack. You can never see what he is. But the audio is pretty damning, and
Yeah.
the manner in which he stopped and did the J hook and stuff
Yeah.
it was a cool thing to experience and a cool thing to capture on camera, as well as we had a very exciting weekend overall.
Good.
So, but yeah, man,
Good.
I'll be able to share that whole thing here pretty shortly, and
Cool.
I'm damn near we're damn near done with it. I'm excited about it, and as soon as it is, I'll shoot you a link over so you can check it out.
Yeah, fire one over to me. That'll be cool, dude. That's way cool. Going out in the Northwoods. It's something I'm kind of jealous of it actually, because I'm kind of in a position. I think I told you about it a little bit, but I'm kind of in a position where it's like I know there's a certain amount of people that need a certain amount of kills, in order to be happy, and so it's like northern big woods stuff has been something that I haven't. It's been on my list, but it's just it's hard for me to go do something like that when I have
Yeah.
other stuff that I'm going to be probably have a higher chance of, you know what I mean? So all I'm saying is I'm a little bit jealous of you, because it's just, there's something about Northwoods hunting Northwoods big woods hunting. It's a whole different animal. It's a whole different ball game.
And for what you just said, I think I'm completely understanding now of why. Like taking this project on, I didn't really think about it because I've been able to go up there usually most years and kill deer. But then, yeah, you had the cameraman and all that in. And then some people that had experience were kind of like, why are you doing it up there? And I'm like, well, that's what I want to share. Like, I love going up there and doing it. And they're like, yeah, but it's a hunting video. Like, it's not a very game-rich environment up there, you know.
Game rich, I like that.
And your first thing, you're probably gonna want to get something killed. And I kind of brushed it all off until like 3/4 of the way through the season, and I was just walking around. I was like, the fuck did I get myself into here, you know? And but it doesn't take a whole, only takes one morning to make all those,
Make it really cool.
Yeah,
really awesome,
absolutely,
really
man. And it, like you were saying earlier, and what we were talking about, a lot of it is about the story and the effort and the start to finish. And those places, those North Woods, man, they're special, man. You're stepping on some ground where you just feel like, God, no one's ever been here, you know. And then of course you look down and find a shotgun shell, but
yeah, then you always have that, right? Yeah, exactly. Steals the thunder a little bit when that happens, but no, they are, man. They're just. I haven't done one myself, but I've got friends and stuff that have and do every year.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them do, and they're just, when they tell me the stories and they send me pictures, and even some of the pictures you've sent over of what you're doing, and I can kind of put myself in that environment, in imagination land, and it just feels like it's a whole different, like, peaceful kind of, you're not really, you're there to hopefully get a big buck, but that's not why you're there. You're there and you want that to happen, but that's not really why you're there.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
You just nailed the whole thing. It's a place to get away from modern civilization and feel like you're in a different world. And for a guy like me, I need it to sustain my mental health. I need it in my life to be able to come home and be a good husband to my wife and father to my son, because without that, I'm not who I am. And if I can't be who I need to be, it's hard for me to, if I can't make myself happy, it's hard for me to make other people around me happy. And that's just who I am, dude. Like, I got to be out in those big woods and be disconnected, not hear car doors opening and closing, and just, be able to have a little chickadee land on my arrow and just think, man, oh man, like, this is the whole deal right here for me. Like, without this, I just wouldn't be who I am. And yeah, it's a special place. It's been an emotional season, and I'm definitely looking forward to sharing it with people. And I hope, I hope it's understood, because it definitely is. It's not something that you're going to watch and be like, oh man, they killed like 14 deer in an hour. This is crazy. These guys are insane, Like,
they were doing that 15 years ago, So I think people are really going to appreciate, like, what you're doing there.
Yeah.
So I mean, big woods, especially in Michigan, I mean, that's pretty much as hard as it gets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
It's an animal. I haven't done Michigan, and obviously there's a reason why. I want to, but it's like I want to, and I want to not because I think I'm gonna fill my tag. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's other reasons. It's a tough place, and it's a whole nother animal. I
can tell you, if I ever did another one, I don't know if I would do it in Michigan. If I did, I would do it in the UP, because if I ever did another one, I would want it to be the primary focus of going to another spot that I've never been. A piece of, like a big piece of big woods, like maybe like northern Minnesota or even northern Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin, man. Like, cool territory up there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, all that big Northwood stuff. It is really cool, and it's part of what makes it cool is the mystery. You don't know what's there.
Yeah, right. You never know what's gonna walk out from behind that pine tree.
Right.
Yep, that is a huge part of it too. Yeah, I'd love to see if you guys ever did take a stab at it.
We will.
What your
We will.
production
I
piece would
mean,
be like, cause
you know, I've got plans to do that. So
very
it'll
cool.
happen, but it'll be, I mean, it could be next year, it could be a couple of years. Just it's one of them things that's on my list. So it's been there for a while too. It's way overdue.
Good stuff, dude. Jared Scheffler, thank you,
But
man. We
yeah,
will
thank you, man.
we'll be in contact soon. Have great holidays. Enjoy the
You
rest
too,
of your
buddy.
deer season. Be safe out there, and yeah, man. We'll get at it soon. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
You bet.